Aksai Chin is a name that's been there only post-independence and probably from 1960s when China occupied that region. But if you look at it before that, the traditional name of this eastern Ladakh region is actually this Gosthana. What does this Gosthana actually mean? Sthana is a place, right, from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, or everything is a Hindustan. All these Sthana obviously means a place. The very word, if you look at the place Sthana, comes from stand. It gives the English word also stand, station, stationary. All this comes from the word stan. Sthana, it's a very Sanskrit Indian word. It is also gone into other languages, Latin and Greek, and they're on to English, other languages. So Sthana is about a place. Go, obviously cow, talking about here. So it means what? This place, Gosthana, which is now called Aksai Chin, was a grassy land for cows to go graze in the summer months. Obviously, you can't go there in the winter months because it's too cold. There's a particular variety of cow that's called Ladakhi cow. It doesn't look so much in the family of Bos indicus, but more looks in the family of Bos taurus. Different families of cows, like Bos indicus, that's the Indian cow. It's got a nice hump. It's there in the seals of Harappa, Mohenjo-daro seals. You see the Bos indicus cow. It's also the NDDB, that's the Amul in their logo of that. And the Indus Bank also has got that logo of that particular hump of that cow. It's a very famous hump. Like that, you got a Bos taurus, belongs to the Taurian mountains that is there in Western Persia, Anatolia, Turkey.
The cows coming after grazing. Bos taurus.
No. So this looks to me from that sort of family of cows. So this is a proper hill terrain Ladakhi cow. These were sort of grazing those areas. So these were grasslands, grazing lands for those cows. When a couple of months ago, the famous Ladakhi scientist Sonam Wangchuk, he came up with a video of saying that we should boycott or remove all the Chinese apps, first the software and the hardware. One point he mentioned was the Ladakhis had lost their grazing grounds there when the Chinese took over the land of Aksai Chin. So here you have the name of a place called Gosthana, which means where the cows go to graze. Then you have a Ladakhi cow for it, specific Ladakhi cow with it. And here Sonam Wangchuk is talking about something bigger about China perspective, but he says how they have taken over their grazing lands. So all these three bring together one point, that this area was essentially very Ladakhi and they were used for a particular purpose by the local herdsmen, people who were having the herd.
This kind of a Goshthan, a grazing area, is common across India in all villages. And we all in the plains, we all are very familiar with the word Gaucher. So ideally, the whole land itself, the civilization, was characterized by the fact that they had earmarked certain lands on the periphery of their villages as Gauchers. And they were the catchment area. Fundamentally, they played a very, very crucial role in the overall ecological balance for waters throughout the land. So the catchment area and the land around it used to be called a Gaucher, which was a common community land where the cows would graze, there would be fruit orchards, and the children could go and play. So nobody could own any piece of that land. It belonged to the community as a whole. And in South, it is called Samudaya Nilam. In modern times, it's come to be called Pembroke lands. It's after one of the British officers called Pembroke and evolved to become Pembroke. And very sadly, Pembroke today has a very derogatory meaning as a very unused piece of land, a wasteland, which is therefore fit enough to be occupied, usurped for housing. But unfortunately, if you really see, that was the most precious land because it is the place which was the catchment and which was the place fit for cows to go and graze. So that is how things have actually morphed, right, from being Gosthana to being a piece of a wasteland. And this aspect actually, a better anecdote also, which shows that impression, how it's treated as a wasteland.
In 1960s, when China occupied this land, and made it from Gosthana to Aksai Chin, which is what we are now used to calling, and we've almost forgotten this original name, Gosthana. And when Nehru was asked this question in Parliament, he said, not a blade of grass grows there. To this, a member of Parliament by name Mahavir Tyagi, who was part of the Congress party, and he was from the United Provinces.
It's fundamentally from
Dehradun area. His repartee was, nothing grows on my head too. To whom do I give it?
So
Obviously,
fundamentally, like if it's a wasteland, you can give it. And was it a wasteland at all?
So here is a question between Nehru, the then Prime Minister, and Mahavir Tyagi, a true nationalist. But the point is, when Nehru had said that not a blade of grass grows in it, I think he had not understood and not represented correctly to the Parliament, which he should have. Because when he said not a blade of grass grows there, it's an incorrect statement, factually incorrect statement he has made in the Parliament. Because if it is Gosthana, which it is, and if they're Ladakhi cows, which there are, and when a person like Sonam Wangchuk, who comes from that particular tradition, parampara, very clearly says that the Ladakhis have lost their grazing grounds to the Chinese, very clearly shows that blade of grass grows there. It's a grassland. Obviously, that area is a grassland. Obviously. So, Nehru had misled the Parliament as Prime Minister of India to say not a blade of grass grows there. One he was not aware of, even though he touts to be a Kashmiri, and this was part of the erstwhile Kashmir kingdom, he was not aware of the landscape and the features of the kingdom of Kashmir or the state of Kashmir. That's a very unfortunate thing. Grass does grow, not just a blade of grass, but it's excellent grasslands.